Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where our mission is to help you learn, grow, and transform on your path to becoming legendary. The digital world is drowning in noise. Algorithms scream for your attention. AI pumps out endless content, and most creators are trapped in a race to the bottom, chasing cheap clicks and temporary growth hacks. But true legends don't shout louder than the crowd. They change the game. Joining us today is Robin Good, a legendary online pioneer who has spent 25 years mastering the art of digital signal over noise. From an underground pirate radio DJ to a UN advisor and an elite digital publisher, he has proven that true authority isn't about producing more. It's about showing better judgment. He's the creator behind Trustable, a master of minimalist strategy and a practitioner who literally locks his phone away to protect his focus. We get ready to learn how to weaponize creation, build bulletproof trust, and transform your mindset. Let's welcome Robin Good to the show. Robin, welcome to the Social Chameleon Show.
Thank you, Tyson. Glad to be here. So honored, actually, to be invited.
Well, it's my honor because I enjoy your thinking, I enjoy your writing, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted to get your point of view on things. It's funny, beforehand, I always send guests, like a couple of things I want. It's obvious most people don't read it, and it's also interesting what comes back. But for you, what was very interesting, you're the only guest ever with your submission to me, was you had a section about your lifestyle. I love that. How did that come about? How did you start thinking about that? Like, how did you kind of crystallize that into something you wanted to write down and think about?
Well, it comes with this package called the Paradata. You know, okay. we have been using metadata all the time for images, for all kinds of digital objects. And in recent months, as I was studying how to be more credible online, I ran into this concept called Paradata, which is today, since everybody can write anything and you can even tell if it's been a human or not, what really gives it depth and thickness is if you share why you did it, what was your process, why this thing came about for you to decide to sit down and write about it, what tools you used, how much time it took you. That is all of the context around it, which you normally don't see about any content. So that's the thing. As I was writing the bio for your interview, I said, what's the Paradata here that could be useful to him? And I said, maybe lifestyle, because I'm not just the professional side. My professional side owes a lot to my personal lifestyle and vice versa. So I thought of putting that in and didn't feel any shame. So I'm glad it came through as a positive thing.
It was great because, like you're saying, right, that's something you got to think about. You got to understand your why you're doing it, why you live where you live. You know, you live in a tropical area. And like you said, you're a citizen of the world. That's tough to think about. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you took the time to think about it. And maybe that dictates the things you do, the projects you work on. You're like, well, does this fit with my lifestyle? Does this fit with the things I want to do? Does this fit with the time I want to invest, or the leisure time, the professional time?
Yes, absolutely. You said it. I'm not going to add anything. That's the way it is. Yes, it does help understand people better, as people write so much today. But for very few, you can get to feel who they are, why they're writing that stuff. Are they writing? And I mean, the impression is generally they're writing because they're making a business. They want to convince me they have some good ideas and they want to sell me something, and that feels good. I don't know. For some people, it feels very good because they want to imitate that. But if you're looking beyond just, I'm going to use the internet and AI to build a business so I can make money and do finally what I always wanted to do, it takes away from all those others that want to create, share, express, research, investigate, question, things that go beyond making money. They prefer to think, and maybe they're stupid in this sense from a business standpoint, that money is going to be a consequence of whatever thing of value they do with enough persistence, conviction, and determination. And I'm one of those stupid guys. So I think that these people like me, to appreciate what they're doing, you need to get to see a little more beyond the surface of that person, like you. I mean, the thing that I would want to know more is, but what does Tyson really do? Who is he? Where does he live? Why has he chosen to do a show called the Chameleon Show? I mean, I want to know the guy, because then I can see in the proper lighting. Since again, you're not selling me something, you're not shooting light stuff that wants to show how good you are. That other aspect really adds a lot. Yes.
You know what? I'll do that. I'll do an episode, maybe even I'll write something up about more about that. I think if you think that's interesting, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll be glad to interview. If you ever don't feel the courage, I'm a really good questioner. So yeah, investigate, make hard questions for you to answer. That's the most challenging thing, to do it with oneself.
Yeah.
Because we tend to show the good sides and we avoid the difficult questions. But yes, that would be useful. Please do that.
Yeah. Give me a difficult question right now. I'll answer it.
What there can be many, but if I had to take one, what is the thing that you value the most in your life, one thing only that you wouldn't give up? So that includes wife, kids, cars, business, house, or things that are not material.
I mean, I feel like it's gonna sound cliche, but like my family, my son, my wife, I would never give that up. I don't know. It's funny you say that, because I was watching Law and Order last night, and the daughter, she was 18-year-old high school student getting ready to graduate. She murdered somebody, and the mom, she said, "No, I did," and she took the prison sentence. I know this is a fictional thing, but I was thinking about that. I was like, could my son do something? I don't want to say innocent, but something so silly that would put him away in prison for 10, 15, 20 years, and I would take the rap for that. Like, I was like, I could imagine a scenario where I would take the prison sentence for him, because he was young. He's young and he has a whole life ahead of him. So that's something I definitely would never give up. We could be homeless. We could go live in the forest for all I care.
Okay, but that's my thinking was, I don't want to eat my own words.
No, it's okay.
Even a family, for how much each human should value that, can become a burden so big that one may consider, without shame, with a clear heart and a honest one, to even abandon the family if that becomes a toxic component of your life. Because now, in these times, you really do not have control of your kids after they are 13 or 14 years old, not because it's a modern age, because they have built their brains, they have built the character. So if you have contributed to build a good heart, a good warrior, they'll take care of themselves, they'll make mistakes, they'll learn. But if they're derailed, if they've been influenced by people or ambient that is not good, you can scold them, you can talk to them nicely, but it's very hard. So even a family, and that happily has not been my case to the extreme that I am describing now, can become a toxic thing, because people are not you. I mean, you choose somebody, but then these other persons may become stressed or believing things that you don't believe anymore, and they keep on choosing things in their life that you wouldn't choose anymore, and they live in an ambient, in a city, inside cement and cars that you don't share, but they want that. So I have personally given up my family. If you want to put it negatively, abandon my family, though that's not the proper term, because I continuously give support to them in all the loving and economic ways possible, but they had become somehow toxic to where I wanted to be.
Mhm.
So these are our questions, because it was very hard to take that decision on. It wasn't just, okay, guys, you've broken my balls, I'm gonna go away.
Mhm.
It took some real pondering for a few months.
No, I hear that. I have family I will never talk to again. I've told my son you'll never meet them because they're toxic, evil people. And and I think that's my job as the parent to guide as best I can. Um, and if things were to go off the rail or something, I would feel like that's my responsibility. I was the father, I'm the parent, and if my children did these things, and that's something I failed at, but it's also interesting to kind of watch and listen and say, okay, this is maybe not how I would think about things, but you're a little different. Things are a little different, and I try to kind of say, okay, go try that and see what happens. If I see you falling off the cliff a little too early, I'm going to probably jump in and say something. But at the same time, I've got to let you kind of fall a little and let that happen. But I've also got to take responsibility for, if you don't know how to stand back up, it's my fault for not teaching you how to stand up as best as I could have, anticipate the future and whatnot.
Yes.
But my job, I think, is to instill the character, the discipline, the work ethic, the things, try as best I can to not let you fall for these things in society, or maybe I like or don't like or whatever. I want, and that's kind of the point of my show is I want you, everybody out there, I want you to think for yourself, whatever that be. Like you're saying, you thought about your lifestyle, why, and all those things. That's all I ask for people. Just please spend a moment just thinking for yourself for a second, because most of us don't take the opportunity and take the time to think for ourselves. We're trying to please a family member, or we're trying to do the things we think society is telling us to do and whatever. And we don't ever, at least most people don't ever spend and take the time to say, what do I really want? Have I sat down and thought about how I want to live my life, regardless of what I was told in school or by family? And a lot of times people that actually love you and want the best from you, but sometimes it's because they failed, or they never succeeded, or their dreams never got fulfilled. So they're trying to use you as that vehicle. So if you just take the time to sit down for a minute and you say, what, this is the life I want, and that's cool. I don't care what you do. But I want you to make sure you sat down and take the time, and I want my kids to think about that too. Same thing. Have you thought this through? Do you understand what's going on? Do you just want to give it a whirl and see what happens? I don't know. Maybe that's fine. And you go fail. But having the fortitude to stand up, get back up, do it again. That's all I ask.
Sounds right.
So you spoke earlier about creating, like, a why for your lifestyle and different things. How do you start thinking about, a why, or creating that, or developing that? How do you, if that makes any sense?
No, I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
So when you were talking about how you're creating your lifestyle and you thought about, why you're going to do these things and kind of your why for life, or your why for a career.
Yeah.
How does somebody think about like their why? Like, how do I, or, the listener out there, how do we come up with something, is there a framework or maybe some kind of thing we can think through to start developing our own reason for doing things, our why for choosing a lifestyle or choosing careers and stuff like that?
I don't think there is. I mean, who am I to say? But
well, what are the things you've tried and found that worked?
But I was never after a why. I mean, it's kind of embedded in me always to ask why. If somebody wants to make a caricature of me and knows me well, you would make not just the sound of my voice, but it would say why and why. So I'm the why guy, because my father would always say, I come back from school and I say, oh, that there is this and this. And he would say, who said that? I mean, you always would ask, is it really true? Where is this coming from? It's just because somebody said it, is in a book. Can we really get to the truth of that? So I always question, because in life we give so many things for granted, to the point that now however, how do you say today, is conspiracist. You want to classify me as a conspiracist. I truly think, I have no shame in saying that most of the things that I see, that I've learned, and that most people know about are not the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost myself. Take me back
Okay.
to reality. The why,
Why?
the why comes with your life. Either you are somebody who asks it from time to time, and therefore you will build your why, and it will change over time, and or you're not. And so I don't think I can help those that don't have a why and want to find one. How can I help somebody who doesn't have a why and comes to me? How can I find my why? Well, deprive yourself of everything and then start like from zero in an imaginary dream. What are the things you want, you desire, you need to be with? That's the question I asked you before. What is the thing that you would never give up? From those things, you can see what are your whys, what you seek, what you crave, what you're made for. I'm made for freedom, for independence of everything, thinking, moving, acting. I I like to be a good soldier, but I need to be in a mission so that I can be independent. I need to be James Bond. So, yes, I have the generals to respond to in MI7, but I need to be very independent, very free to move, to explore, to ask questions. So you find your why by looking at what you wouldn't give up. I would say.
I like that. Starting with what wouldn't you give up in your life? I like that. That's an interesting framework. How did you develop the sharp ability to recognize signal in noise?
As we start to love things, whether we collect football players, cards, Pokemons, today's stamps at my time, and then records at my time. As I was a professional DJ, however unbelievable it sounds, at 13, paid to go and be a DJ at fantastic, beautiful private parties. I at that age, I used to go with the little big money for me at the time that I made to a record store. And then they would pile for me as they saw me all these 45 RPMs, the singles of the time, to listen to. You know, this is the new stuff since you came last time. And so they put me in a glass cab, like the ones of the quiz shows where the people answer to questions. But in the cab, there is speakers, and the lady there at the counter puts on the records one after the other until I say, oh, next. So you listen. You look stamps, you look cards. Whenever you do that type of work, whatever that is, in whichever field, you develop your taste, your ability to recognize what is good and what is not. So you love beers and you taste many beers. You become a connoisseur of beers. So I think that's the answer. That's how I develop mine, by having passions in which you had to go through a lot of stuff to find the good stuff. And I found that exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got to go deep, right, into something to develop a taste versus staying shallow. Like, I feel like maybe this may be too much, but I feel like a lot of people stay shallow. It's easy to stay shallow, but it's hard to go deep into a subject or into a hobby or whatever it is, like you're saying, right?
More like persistent in the discovery process, because my mother liked to be a homegrown fashion designer. She had a little shop and do the little défilé, you know, when the models go. But in my living room with 25 invited ladies that wanted to buy a nice dress. And so what she did was she would look this Vogue and all these fashion magazine and cut things and put them aside. So would you say she went deep? She went for long time after something. You paint or you doodle, you collect and put in order for a long time. I don't think you would describe that as depth. The depth comes with the time. The more time you spend, the greater depth you have. But you don't really say, oh, he's shallow. He's shallow because he listened to 2 records and says, oh, this is shit, this is good. Doesn't listen to 35. He doesn't have the patience. He wants just an easy solution. He wants the McDonald's thing. He doesn't want the steak. He has to kill the cow and do the whole thing. No, that's too complicated. But that's how you develop the taste. If you kill the cow, you cut it, and you know exactly what part of the meat, and so for the music, and so for the painting, and so for the dresses of the women. Same thing.
Is that... Are you giving up when things are hard because you haven't found your thing yet? Is that why you kind of jump from thing to thing? Does that make sense?
Yes, but I would like you to extend it. The question.
What I'm thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about other people, and they dabble here, they dabble there. They constantly, things get a little hard. Like, okay, I'm kind of done with that, or like, I've listened to a few records and I don't get it. You keep going from thing to thing, and I'm thinking because you're not like, oh, actually, maybe let me listen to another 15 records and try this more, or maybe another 20, because I'm not that interested in it. Maybe it's popular, maybe it's something. So I'm not going to spend the time. I'm not going to take the persistence to keep doing something because I'm not truly interested. And so I'm dabbling in a bunch of things because I haven't found something I want to spend the time on yet.
I don't think it works that way.
Okay.
Meaning, no, sorry, that sounds offensive. Meaning, it's the reverse. You gotta be interested enough whereby no matter how many things you have to go through, you're interested. And part of the game is you have to go through many uninteresting or obvious things to get to the good ones. It's like treasure hunt. It's not, where it is? Oh, it's here. No, you have to work to find, oh God, where did they put these things? And it's 1 hour I'm looking, but when you find it, that's orgasm for you. So I think the first thing is to have that love for something, and that will give you the persistence to keep on looking even when it's boring. Whether it's girls, burgers, beers, soccer, I love AS Roma, the soccer team, and the love has been born by going to the stadium many times, because the first time you could go there and you've never seen a stadium, never seen a soccer game. Maybe you cannot even see the players very well. But it's in the repetition, in going deeper. I think I'm confusing things, and maybe I'm not helping listeners or you. But I don't know. Let me stop.
No, it's fine, because we're thinking through this right now, right? I mean, maybe there's a little bit of language barrier. Maybe there's a understanding barrier. Maybe I'm not understanding. But so what I'm thinking about is maybe you haven't found something you love yet. So you keep dabbling a lot, right?
Yes.
And so then you're not, and the way I think about it is if you love something, it's easy. Like you said, talking about soccer, I talk about the San Francisco 49ers here in America. I love them. They suck sometimes, and then they're great sometimes. And it doesn't matter because I have the love for that, right? Stoic philosophy. I have the love for it. I'll grab a Stoic book. It is boring as hell, but I like it. So I'll drudge through a couple of chapters. Or maybe like there's something in here. This whole book's gonna suck, but there's gonna be a passage or two that's really gonna resonate with me, and it was worth the read because I like the genre. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
But if you don't have that love for something, then when things get a little difficult, when you find the shitty book, when there's a down year, you're like, never mind with this, because you haven't found. Maybe passion isn't the right word, but maybe it's a good word, where you haven't fallen in love. You haven't had the passion for it yet. And when things get a little hard, you can just give up versus taking the time to maybe slog through the hard times and you start to develop a love, or you say, you know what, I've been through a couple of hard times and this isn't what I thought it was. And I'm just going to move on. And that's okay to give up and move on and try something else.
Yes. I agree with all the things you said.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, do you, maybe is there something you think about or do when you're looking for maybe something to fall in love with, or you're looking at a new subject matter or something, you're like, could I get interested in this subject matter? Like, let's talk about something new right now. AI is new. Let's say you're like, oh, this is interesting. How long do you maybe stick around, or what do you do, or what do you look up where you're like, could I fall in love with this subject matter and go down and develop persistence for it? Do you have some kind of techniques or something like that, or how do you think about something like that?
Well, I'm very impromptu in that sense. As you were describing it, I could never find in my memory a situation like that. That is, to fall in love with something is because it comes my way, and we sometimes run into each other with this new thing, and I immediately like it.
Yeah.
I don't find myself asking, could I fall in love with this? I have enough things that I already fallen in love or would like to fall in love that there is no space to try some others. Mm-hmm. But the answer is really, it feels like they come to me. So whatever choices I've made in my life, I have created the opportunities for things to pop up that were not planned. Example is, I was during a purification program because I had ultra used my brain cells to explore other universes, and I said, I want to do a purification program, so I clean up myself. Anyway, I go to this purification program, require you to go to one of these franchise gyms where they would give you some vitamins, they would make you run, and then they would put you inside a sauna for hours and hours. And you could only go out to take a shower and then go back in the sauna, so that all these toxic substances that supposedly are inside my body would get out. And then you had to go there every single day, no matter if it was Christmas, Easter, every single day until you reach the end of the program. Now, while I was doing that, inside the sauna, popped up some guys, because the gym had a kung fu school in there. And so the guys who ended the class of the Kung Fu would come and take the shower next to the sauna, and see always this guy there every afternoon. And so they started coming in. What are you doing here? What is this thing? And so we became friends. They came with the cards, because I was like a prisoner for them, somebody in a cell. So they would bring cards to play with me, bring me the radio so that I could listen to something from the outside for all those hours inside there. And you know what? As I finished that program, I joined that Kung Fu school. I became a black belt, and I became the president of that school. Now, wow. How did I fall in love with Kung Fu? See, what is the answer?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about that too. Like, how do I fall in love with all these things? But it's like you're saying, like, so many chance events, life things being out there. I guess my reason for asking the question is, it might just be my sample size, but I feel like some people I see, that whether it's my age, maybe a little younger, it's like I feel like they don't have something they're really in love with, and it's like, so I'm trying to think, can we help them? Is there a way we can say, like, go do things, try things, fall in love with something?
I don't think we should.
Okay, let's not.
Why should we, Tazem?
Because I think they're missing out on a joy of life, and something we could bring meaning and joy to their life with.
Do you think if you go there and you told them so, they would say, oh, yes, you're right, but, I can confess.
It hasn't worked yet.
Because I see them, I know them, some of them quite well. I think in their sad life, they want that. They have made a pact with the devil or whatever inside to be part of the system in the way they are. And they wait until they're 67 to retire, and they're happy to water the flowers after that. I don't think we have the right to go and bother them because they've convinced themselves so deeply that that is the right way. That who are we really?
Yeah.
Who says that we aren't the wrong ones?
Thank you for that. Yeah. Maybe it's the people that maybe want it, but doesn't. Maybe there's a couple of people that are like, yeah, maybe I could, and they're like, yeah. But those people, I feel like I don't want to say I could save, but maybe I could just show them something, or like you're saying, the creation, like you're the creator. The curator, excuse me. And maybe you can curate something for them. And like, maybe I think you would like this. I don't know.
Well, it's always good to do something nice for people that can wake up their heart or some of their emotion or their dreams that they've put aside. I mean, that's a good thing to do, but we shouldn't go there with the expectation to convert them. There's so much.
I don't mean that in a forceful way. I'm just like, maybe if I just throw an idea your way and you just run with it, I don't know, or give you some type of inspiration or hope, or I don't know.
So just be the kind of person that you think ideally would make everybody a happier person, and you're just being a model out there. It's for them to pay attention. If they don't have that attention, you cannot be useful to them. But if they were to find some attention or time, then you will become a resource. So just be one of the fantastic things that each one of us can be. And we can become models for others without needing to be presumptuous about this, but inspiring to others. Let's say.
Yeah, I'm interested in being an inspiration. Like, hey, you're doing these things. I could probably do these things too.
Yeah, I would like to do these things too. Yes.
Yeah, that's all right. Thank you for that, for helping me clear that up. So you talk about creating useful knowledge resources. How do we think about that? How do we go about something like that?
Most people think that to become somebody online, because that's kind of the context in which I think we're speaking in general. You're a podcaster, you're a publisher, and likewise, and that's why we met. So this is the context. In this world, most people think that by writing more and more what they think, what their opinion is about this or that, is the way to show that they have some ideas, some original thinking, some deeper, non-obvious thinking that others don't have. And so they are relevant, authoritative, credible. But I lost myself in the thinking.
It's okay. Creating useful resources is what I'm thinking about.
But in an age in which opinions are worth a dime because anybody can have one, anybody can publish one right now. It used not to be the case until not so many years ago, couple of decades only, and this has changed altogether, upside down. So everybody now can say what they think of, not just the New York Times, anybody. In those instances, what becomes of value is resources. That is not just hearing opinions to this, to that, think this way, inspire this way, this is better, that is worse, but things that help me. I want to go to that island. How many piers where boats leave, go there? What are the prices? Where can I contact and reserve? Or I want to build a new program. I hear that there is now vibe coding. What are I'm not a specialist, I'm not a developer. I don't already know the whole story. I just arrived. What are the tools and what are the differences and what would be better for somebody starting and somebody versus somebody who's already technical. Now, how many articles do you find today online that give you that type of orientation? Very few. There used to be and still are people that make list of tools, but there is no real intelligence. It's just like a list of stuff, and then you have to go to click each one of them like Google search results and make up your mind whether that fits with you or not. So knowledge infrastructures, as I call them, are resources that help you orient, move, navigate spaces that have become complex, that change every day. So unless there is somebody who has explored and knows the territory very well and can tell you, look, those cows are beautiful, but are not to be eaten because they eat that type of grass. These other cows are fantastic, but they live in a place where religion says do not eat cows. So they let you see the world through a deeper understanding they have, and they help you orient you in making decisions, in understanding what's better and what's to be avoided. That is the kind of relevance that I think today has more value than just writing another article or another prompt saying, do this, do that, I think this, or I think that. Building useful resources that go beyond simple listings.
Okay, yeah. How do you start to build that better judgment of the curation and different things like this?
How do you build better judgment?
Better judgment, right. How do you start to develop that judgment, that taste of, instead of just a listicle kind of thing, you start to develop, especially with AI and all these different things, like how do you start to be that trusted person that has that taste, that judgment? Is there something we can do to start developing that and build that?
If you have to be the expert of, you live in which city?
I live in Phoenix, Arizona.
If you have to be the expert about pizza places in Phoenix, Arizona, what do you think you have to do to be that?
I got to go eat a bunch of pizza.
Just a bunch?
Probably a shitload.
Huh?
Probably a shitload. But I've got to probably compare and contrast, and I've got to spend time and
go to all of the pizza places there, right. And if there are new ones, check them out. And if someone closes, check them out still, build relationships with them, know the kind of the ingredients they use, and exactly what you said. So that's what you do to become able to do the kind of comprehensive understanding of a sector. You really cannot build it up by saying, okay, I'm going to be the expert of people or marketing for restaurants outside of cities. Oh, that's very niche. Good. But then do you have experience? Do you know 100 restaurants outside of cities and how they are to be run? So the simple answer is just you need to know your territory. You need to spend time in it, whichever way you do it, by being an intern, somebody does stages everywhere, never gets hired, by being owner, start-upper of all this company. It depends the field. You want to be the expert of martial arts? Well, you better have done some martial arts for many years and still do them so that you can see what the newcomers don't. So I think the answer looks even too obvious that I feel I'm not providing you with any value. So maybe dig deeper in your question and maybe I can contribute something more, because I think this is way too obvious what I just said.
No, it's fine. I think what you're saying is kind of what we talked about earlier, the persistence and the love. And when you develop that, it sounds like the other things will come. You're the pizza guy because you love pizza, and you would go eat different restaurants because you love it, and nothing else but that. And you're just deciding, I'm just going to share this anyway. I don't care what you have to think. I don't care if nobody ever watches this. I want to be the guy that's tasted every pizza in this city and maybe the surrounding cities, and I want to find the best one because I love it. And if I share that and you like it, hey, great. If not, it doesn't matter because I love it, and I'm going to be persistent in it because that's just something I love.
So a lot of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
An extreme amount of exposure and an extreme amount of curiosity and questioning. They give me 3 beers. Not everyone will say, oh, I like this more than the others. but very rarely they will venture into their head, because nobody will prompt them to ask, why do I like this one more than those other? Why does this deep house groove is better than this minimalist dub piece that I've just arrived? Because you go with the feeling, I like it. It's even with girl with men, men with girls, you like it, but why? Training yourself to ask the why you like something builds that taste, that ability to, as you say, separate signal from noise.
Mm-hmm. That's something I learned from you. Is before encountering your work and learning from you, I would just share something I liked, and I just figured everybody got it. I like this, so I shared it. I figured everybody just got it. But what I learned from you is you've got to tell people why you liked it. What was it about this you liked? And so I've tried to start to think, like, why do I like this? What can I say a little bit here when I repost this or whatever it is? Like, what little thing can I tell people and let people know about why I liked it? Maybe they agree with me or not. And then that gets them to click on the post or not because they agree with my take or my taste or whatever.
Yes. And if you want to stand that and go add more to the why, is why do you think is relevant to your readers? Because otherwise it's kind of, your David Bowie, your Andy Warhol, and you share, and it's just because Bansky, you share it, and just because it's you, everybody will, okay, but it's not our case. So when we're not already such big personalities that we become the niche, the point of interest, what counts is exactly that, asking not only, I encountered something, I like it, I want to share it, but stop and ask why you who are getting this should pay attention to it. What's in there that I saw that you may find useful, intriguing, fascinating, non-obvious, and that's why I suggest you go and check it out. This is the key value you can add, and it's good exercise to develop and train yourself in selecting what's really relevant, not just, look what a beautiful girl. There are a million beautiful girls. Go beyond the surface level. Try to understand what is it that you really like, because girls is not a good example because or men in their case, because we look only really at the surface, because you need to talk to understand if there can be love, intensity, understanding, exchange. And so other things are better example. Love has been too much surface love, too little understanding between human beings. But in all other cases, yes, what do we find that is of value for others, so that our sharing becomes a service to others? It's not, hey, look what I found, but here's something for you that may be useful if you lost your son, if you want to go on top of the mountain but don't have the balls, if you are procrastinating every day, that stupid little thing with the bank, here's something that could change you. And if you do that there's a lot of value, because we're submerged by things that could be interesting, but there is no time to read them all. So if one time you strike gold by giving me a good why to go and check out something, I go check it out, and it clacks, as I say, it matches my expectation of something good, then you've all of a sudden got my trust. I know that Tyson could be suggesting good restaurants, because last time he told me to go to Gigi's Pizza and it was fucking good. So let me hear what he has to say this time.
Is there any other ways of building trust like that? Is it, or just a constant persistent thing of putting yourself out there and people start to slowly kind of trust you? And I don't and I hate when people try to build this fake trust or whatever it is. I want something deep and true. Like I can listen to you and I know you're not fooling me. You're not trying to sell me something, or you're not trying to pull one over on me.
What's the question?
How do we continue to develop and build that trust? How do we, be that trustworthy person? What things do we do? Or is it just persistence? Just keep putting out good content or good recommendations?
As much as possible, know who you want to be talking to, who you want to be helping, because the more you know who you're trying to help, the better you can put yourself in the shoes. What I can do to help that situation, not to persuade or convince or change their minds, but to help see beyond what they see now, to help understand more and better what they're interested in. So to build that trust, you must know who you want to serve first, because that is going to frame what is appropriate to serve, what is appropriate to share, and the whys that you're going to serve with those shares. So to build trust is in general a work of caring for others in space, tangible ways. That means I build a resource that is useful for you for a long time, the type of thing you want to save and come back to, because is a guide to books to read, to film to watch, to things to study that can be useful for the next 10 years, even if AI doubles up every 3 days, still useful. I can build that trust by showing how I overcome obstacles, how I do certain things that for those that I decide to serve are important. So it's always dependent on who you're trying to serve. So if you're trying to serve in general people, it's very hard because you have no frame of reference within which to establish criteria, limitation, edges, borders, outsides, inside. But if you're very specific, I think it is much easier. You build trust the same way you build trust in real life. With whom do I build trust in real life? With those persons that I see that not just have interest in me, but do care about me. If I'm not there, they will take my glasses that I forgot and save them for me and bring them the next day. If I don't come today to the gym, but they know today was payday, and then the teacher gets very angry if you don't pay, they pay for me because they know I will give them back money. Now, these are nitty-gritty examples of everyday life. Now, bring them to the online life. How can you show that you care to others? I can go and explore territory a little ahead. Say I help writers, fiction writers. Well, let me explore ahead what the world of fiction is going to be in 3 to 5 years. What kind of books are going to be there? Are going to be there still books or not? So I can go explore, get my hands dirty, come back and say, look, I opened 3 trails and these are the things that I found out. This is how I did it. This is the process. This is how you build trust, by caring in all the ways possible for the people you want to serve. Stop me.
No, this is great. I love it. What I'm hearing is just be a good person and blaze a path and let people know I've opened this trail up for you. Come down it if you want it. And if you're a good person, I feel like people are going to follow you and they're going to try. I feel like you're saying trust is something. If you have the right intentions, it's just going to come.
But it's not even that dreamy or fable-like, in the sense, how many people out there do you know, do you read of, can you make the names now on Substack or elsewhere that do this?
It's a small list. But when they say something, I believe them, and I don't have to I can just trust. I don't need to verify because I know you're not going to bullshit me.
that's the proof that that's the right way. Because if I ask you about who would you recommend for such and such thing, you were gonna list me one of those people. And so those people, what do they have to do because you do this? They have had to be caring. They have had to be non-obvious, non-superficial, not so self-oriented. For trust, there is a formula called the trust equation formula that is credibility plus reliability plus intimacy slash self-orientation. That is, you can have all the credibility, you can be very reliable, you can even build relationship and they can feel you. But if you keep putting the lights on you, that devalues everything else above the slash line. So self-orientation is the devil to build trust. Is the thing you don't want to have as much as possible. Not look at me, look how good I am, look the results I got. 16,000 subscribers in 8 months. Okay, but what do you do in life? What are you after? What are you going to be remembered for? What kind of sign are you living? These are the things to ask.
Right. The things that matter, not the vanity metrics.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So I guess maybe a quick little summary to start your process. This is what I kind of heard from you. Who are you serving and why is it relevant? And then you can start from there.
Correct. The context who are you serving is the base for everything. And the why it's relevant is one specific tip for when you like to share useful resources, readings, books, or other stuff. Then that's the first thing to add, not just the link or the title, but why am I sharing this? Why you should pay attention to that. So these are different levels of categories. The context, the audience, the people you want to help is a foundational pillar. Mm-hmm. The why, the sharing, why you should pay attention is an element of the executive action. Is not a detail, is something more than a detail. Maybe we could call it a method, an approach. But the audience, the context is the foundation. Who are you serving? Why you're serving that audience? For example, let's make always examples.
Yes.
In my case, my dream was to serve those who wanted to be independent. You heard me before saying, for me, freedom, independence, in all the ways possible is the most important thing. So I said, what is the thing I want most? I want to most help those others that have this drive, that feel you want to be independent. So independent means being able to earn your money without accepting to be a slave for a company that does things that maybe you don't even care about or you don't like. And so you serve the interest of somebody else in exchange of money for a long time, hoping that when the time is over, then, or in some interruption of it, you can do some of what you would like to be. So deciding who you serve and why drives a lot of what you do. Now, by deciding to help in those who wanted to be independent, I unfortunately find myself with all the marketers because they serve the same purpose. So I had to find a higher purpose, and it took a long time to understand that the essential thing was not going after SEO or the views or the traffic, etc., but to build credibility, authority, relevance, all things that when you add them up, build that word that is trust. I can trust this person. because I think it all starts from there to be independent now. While before I thought it was more kind of certain tactics or strategies. Now I understand it all comes down to building trust over time. Because when people trust you, then they're willing to buy, support, help, embrace any idea you bring forward. Because trust goes beyond that. Oh, I think if I can buy that, I can be the same as him. It's more like I share the values of this person and I want to be somehow like him or even better than him. So let me contribute or participate or support and take anything I can. Therefore, my focus now is, yes, ideally independence. But since I've discovered that independents are those that then end up going with the marketers, which I don't want to be associated with, I have deviated toward trust. Also because trust makes a very good front end for my business, which is really about curation. But nobody in his own right mind wakes up and says, oh, I want to know curation. This is really hot stuff. Nobody. So I had to go through loving curation for a long time to understand this, that you cannot sell curation. Curation is a way to build that trust. Is a series of methods and approaches to communication and sharing and learning that builds strong trust, because you don't just share. You really take care of things, both in the way you collect them, organize them, and serve them to your audience, ideally. I have done many shittiful things to learn it, and they're still out there as witnesses that it takes time. I mean, because I've had to go myself through doing things that are not as beautiful as I describe them for you now. So I made stupid lists, maybe very big, and I thought, oh, it's super good. But the understanding to which I arrived is, when you really care, you don't do the list because it's gonna get 100 likes, but you do the list because you love sharing what you have found. And so that list contains parts of you. This yes, because, this yes, because, this yes, but then no, because. That's another level. And when you do that, it's like you go to a market. There are, here in Asia, there are these night markets, 100 little stands that you can eat off. But if you have somebody who's gone there many times and says, oh, you want the raw shrimps with the spicy sauce, come with me. Here, Nut is the guy. You bring something different. So it's not in the quantity, but in the depth of knowing which thing is good that the value comes out. And trust, I've learned, can be built by curating things, by organizing, selecting, putting together stuff, by explaining your process, how you did it, all these things that are non-obvious, that are kind of the stuff around the main dish. How do you call that in English?
Side dishes? Appetizers?
It's like there is the meat, but there are also potatoes and spinach. And what are those?
The sides.
The sides. Okay. Yeah. The sides are becoming more and more important than the main plate. How can I express that even better? The context is now more important than the story or the individual idea. How you have arrived at, why that idea, who you're going to serve it to, how you're going to do it, how you failed and has brought you to this. All of this stuff that is around something now, if you reveal it, when you share something or when you touch a topic, like you did for your feature on the rich dad, poor dad,
Yes.
helps a lot, brings a lot of value. It's not just you're trying to be the professor on something, but you give kind of a world, a universe of understanding around it that frames how you see those things. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
You are. No, this is great. But this is the thinking I love from you. This is why I wanted you on the show. This is why I enjoy reading your Substacks and seeing the things from you. It's this thinking is what I enjoy. And like I said, I learned a lot, and I'm trying to, I don't know if model is the right word, but improve myself, improve the things. I like sharing books. I like sharing things because they're interesting to me. So, but now I've got a better way of doing it because of your thinking.
Now, the challenging question for you is, what are we, I mean, besides our own pleasure, which I cannot witness to this, I'm having a pleasurable time right now talking to you because you are interested in me, you're asking me a question. I don't have anybody to talk here in this world where I live physically, solitary life. So for me, this is very enjoyable. It's like a gift.
You're welcome. It's a gift to me too.
But let me pose a very difficult question. What are we doing? What kind of value are we trying to serve to those who will watch or listen to this? I mean, what is the originating arrow purpose that you want this thing we're having to be for others?
I want it to be a jumping off point for your thinking about this subject, these topics. I want you to come away from this and go, I've never heard of that. I've never thought about it. I've never put time into it. I never thought about why I do this, or I never thought about how. I never thought about building trust. And I want this to be a jumping off point for people to say, okay, and go off and start thinking about this. That's what I want. I want people to think. I feel like, and nowadays, thinking is not something that happens often. I think it's kind of gone on the wayside. I think we outsource a lot of our thinking to social media and these different types of things, these different news sources and whatnot. And then I think because of that, people are feeling lost. They don't have a love. They're not being persistent in these different topics. So this is what I want this to be. I want people to hear you, especially you. I hope I don't talk as much as I need to, because you're the expert I want to talk to you. I enjoy your content. I enjoy the cool tools and stuff. That I found lots of things trustable. These starts making me think about things. You're the post you did a few posts back about creating a second brain. I've got that saved. I want to go through that. I want to. This is why I come to you. This is what I want. And I found that. And then I have questions and I want to talk to people. And I want this to be a point where people say, that was interesting. Now let me go think about it.
Thank you. Let me phrase it even better.
Sure.
Let's say that you are now sharing this very thing. This is a recording. We are now a little bit in the future, and you, Tyson, are sharing this for your audience on Substack, on your podcast channel, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that why is this relevant for your reader? So what would you tell your reader? Here is my interview I did a few days ago with Robin Good. Why is this relevant for them and why should they pay attention? I'm curious to know what would you say or think about that?
I say so far, what I would tell them is if you're looking to build trust, you're looking to build a community, Robin has great ideas for you to start from.
Thank you. That says to me that you've perfectly understood the whole concept, but you're gifting me of something that I didn't pronounce once today. So I'm honored and maybe I deserve it, maybe not. Let's question it. Why am I the good person to build community?
From what I've read from you and the trust you've built with me is I trust your taste. You explain your thinking, and it's different in a good way. It's not this contrite, obvious regurgitation of the surface levels nonsense. I feel like you're taking the time and the effort to think deeply about something, and then it makes me think deeply about something because you started a thought pattern that I can go down. So we're 3 levels deep now by the time I start thinking about it, because you've taken the surface level stuff, you've thought about it. Now I'm coming in and I'm thinking about it, and to me it's a better jumping off point than some cliche, let's just say, which cliches are good, but that's still they're a cliche because they're surface level, I think, versus somebody like you. I'm already down 3 levels deep and I can start thinking from there.
But how does that connect to community? You use that word, but today I never said, it's good for the community or community here. I never use that word. No. So I'm not saying I'm not saying I am. I'm just curious because you attributed that quality to me. Yeah. So I want to know why Robin Good is good for community. What did he do or say that you think helps? I don't know also what you mean by community. Is it good to build community or what did you mean?
Yeah, no, I think about it like this. It's like we all live in some type of community. It's your neighborhood, it's your family, it's whatever your community is. And if we can be good stewards of the community, we can help our neighbor just because. I like to call it circles of greatness. So if we can create these circles of greatness, then your circle is my circle. This is my circle, and then like a Venn diagram. And tangentially, we have Robin's circle, and each circle contributes to the other, and we can leave this world a better place. We can we can worry about our neighbors. We can worry about the things that are here. We've spent so much time worrying about this other stuff. We have no control over this. We have no influence per se. But if I can control my community, if I can worry about my community, whatever that community is to you, whether it's your church, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, I don't care. But if you can cultivate this community, whether it's public or not, like my community, my circle, if we can bring in ideas, we can bring in, hope. We can bring in trust. We can bring in these things. I have my creation of ideas and things and books. If I can just show you this and build this, then I think these things ripple out. They start to pay it forward in a way that I don't have control over. Because this is a good idea. I have a friend, whatever, and I would do these charitable things, and she was like, "Man, that's kind of cool." And then now she just kind of piggybacked off of me, but now she does her own thing. That's crazy, and I just love seeing that because it started from me being nice. And then she was nice to somebody, and she was kind of apprehensive, like, "Oh, people aren't really good. Like, she always wants to know, what are you after, Tyson? Why are you nice to me?" I'm like, just because I don't. But now she's kind of been able to break from her shell, and she's like, I can just be nice to be nice. I don't need something in return. It's not a payback thing. It's a pay it forward thing. I hope this makes sense.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, my question was really tough.
No, it's fine. I challenged my thinking. Yes.
Good. No, I was just curious, honest curiosity.
Did I fulfill it? Did I answer your question at all?
You said interesting things, but I still don't know what you said. Let's see what I understood. You said that you brought in the term community and me, because whatever ideas we have or concept we bring forward, they help us resonate with what is surrounding us. So in that sense, let me ask you again then. I am a new reader of your newsletter, and I write a direct message to you and I say, why do you think Robin Good, do you think Robin Good is helpful? See, I find myself something not right because I know I don't neither promote, neither I expressly write about community. So I got curious the moment you said, this guy is the guy for trust and community. And so I wanted to know from which angle you were looking at me to say that it is about community? Because when you build trust, then you build relationship, and then relationship community. Is that the transitions? That's what I was curious about, because you attributed me a quality that I don't think I would attribute to myself. That's all.
Mhm. That's probably it. What you're saying, right? I've come to trust you, and I mean, how we met. You just messaged me out of the blue saying, hey, thanks for thing. I like to reach out to people once in a while. And I was floored. I was like, oh my God, I love your stuff. That's so nice of you. But that's how you build community. I mean, you have a bunch. I think you have a book, and I know you do a podcast in Italian and stuff. So I think you talk about this. I'm not quite familiar with it, but I feel what you're doing is you're building some type of community, and I think others can learn from that, whether it's tangential or not. Maybe if you're doing that indirectly or not, I don't know, but that's what it feels like to me.
Okay, fair enough. We don't have to go.
No, it's fine.
Further. Okay, go. You have a lot of good questions down on your paper. So.
Oh, yes. So I guess kind of speaking around this a little bit, you at one point operated a very successful independent magazine. Sounds like you made good money. Why leave? Why give all that up?
I got penalized by Google. That means that from checks coming with DHL guy, yellow and red dress coming with this envelope from Google opening, and there was checks for which I had initially never invoiced. They just come. You just don't do nothing but write. And then these checks will come up to 20,000 or nearly so in a month for a company made up of me, an assistant, and maybe a partner in one country and another in another country who would just translate my content in different languages. And this was the beginning of money that was made with the ads from Google, which at the time seems to be revolutionary because they were not interrupting. They had this paradigm whereby this is an ad that's going to fit with your content. If we write about tennis, there's going to be a text ad saying buy tennis shoes or buy the tickets to the tennis tournament nearby. And so I said, oh, this is genius. I wouldn't have wanted ads, but when that happened, I tried it immediately. That was the beginning of AdSense, made a lot of money. I think a little more than $1 million invoiced to Google. And then Google penalized me. So from literally 1 hour to the next, that checks disappears. So whoever you're paying, collaborators, staff, electricity, rent, there is no warning sign. There is no, you have some time to prepare. It just comes. And whether I was rightfully penalized or not, and though for many years I thought not, I do think they rightly penalized me for things that I was exploring. I wasn't really any nasty guy, but I certainly tried dirty things like, put some, at the time were called text links, that is little links that would lead to some advertiser. And these were highly discouraged at the time. So even having tried it for 3 days or a week got me into this terrible trouble. And so I didn't give up. I discovered that betting all of your cash on just one horse, however good that horse is not a strategy. So I was smart enough, given the times and some examples around me, to say, well, I'm going to try to get out of the penalization and everything, but this is not going to be my strategy for the future. What I can do is, since I've made so much money with this system, now with the dirty things they are accusing me of, people want to know how I made $1 million with Google. So I'm going to open up an online campus, a Robin Good University, and I'm going to share and teach all that I know that brought me there. So I'm going to move my business model from publishing with Google Ads to have publishing as the base for visibility, but having a private campus with a paid subscription for people to learn directly from me. So I basically switched, and then I let it gradually die because having a university takes a lot of time and students take a lot of your attention. And so since they make good money also, you're not, the younger you are, the less far away you can see. And going back there, I wouldn't have ever stopped publishing the magazine. In fact, now I spend so much time on the archive.org to recover some of those pages. I love them, love to see what I used to do 15, 20, 22 years ago, and I say, oh, this is so good. It's like, when you check the origins of a music band, like in the first 3-4 years when they don't know that band, they make such great music. Then they discover, they go with the great labels and they start to making disco music for everybody. Then that's what happened to me in some way now. I don't think I'm any kind of big star, but, I kind of got lazy. I got spoiled. And so that's the answer to your question. Why did I abandon the Successful magazine? Because I got penalized. I learned the lesson. I changed business model, and then I got lazy.
That sounds like human nature, right? I mean, things. How did you get unlazy? I don't feel like you're lazy now. What was the change?
No.
What was the thinking?
Well, so many stories. So let's pick the appropriate one. Well, I've had to come back because that university and those students, now that I am so far away from the world in which those students are, and I've decided to live in islands around the world, has made me a solitary, adventurous man. And I have the drive to research and write. That's part of my curation spirit, to go explore, research, and bring back. What did I find? Oh, I went all the way there, and this is what is there, what is interesting. That's what I am good at. I'm explorer, pioneer, pirate. That's what I am, experimenter. And so I came back because, finally respond to the question, because those channels of revenue also don't last forever. So the university guys, the alumni, the consulting for that group of people and audience, as I went away and I dedicated less and less time to them, because before I was very present, I was also physically present. I toured, I made many events, and people really got in love with me the most, like 3 times, 30 times more when they saw me live, when they see that what you're seeing now in this video, or hearing or reading, and it is physically there. First of all, they say it is the same. It is the same person. And this we find as audience to be rare. So bravo, Robin. And secondly, this energy that maybe you feel right now, when it's in presence, is really strong. I can feel it because I am the transformer of this energy that goes through me. I have a lot of positive energy. I feel good to communicate with people and to have experiences with me. If I make a show, I don't just talk with the slides. I go around the people. One thing I do that is really memorable, to the point that it surprises me, is as I did these 3 years, I think, of tours around Italy to all the small cities in which people would invite me. They would pay my ticket to that city, offer me a place, a library, the public library, a theater, whatever they had, a place to make the show. And I had not to worry about anything. They wouldn't pay me, but they would pay my travel, my eating, and everything. And so I had to make this show. I wanted to make these shows because I wanted to promote my book. A publisher had me made a book from brand to friend, but they never promoted. So after 6 months, I said, this doesn't make sense. I mean, they call me to make a book and then they do 3 interviews here and there, but they're all fake, all press releases, nothing serious. So why don't I make my own tour? And so I announce, I write in the newsletter, and many people say, oh, come to my city. And these are, in Italy, we have 1,000 small, beautiful, historical cities. I went like to 60 different stops over 3 years. And the point I was making is to make these shows interesting, I would stand at the door of each event. And as the people would come in, I would greet them personally, one by one, with the goal of learning their name one by one, so that when they were inside and I come, I could gradually name each one of them. Now, I swear to you, I don't have good memory for the normal standards. I never played memory games. I never had anything that, would say, oh, let's do this because you have this skill. No, I challenged myself to do this. And I said, while I greet them, I'll ask them their name 2 or 3 times. I will pronounce it and I will picture in my head something so that I can remember them. And since at these events there were between 30 and 50 people each time, it was challenging but not impossible. And to my surprise, I did beyond my most optimistic expectations. So during the show, I could actually go to this person, say, hey, you, Albert, hey, you, Francesco. And people were just startled. How does he remember all of our names? So this is to say, I don't know from where we started, but this is to say that putting yourself out there in caring, in involving yourself in where did we start it? Because I want to make a good connection. How did we start it? I did end up here.
I'm just so in your story. I think we initially started off with talking about the online magazine, and then I asked you, shoot. I'm so sorry.
Why you gave it up?
No, we got past that.
Yes, I'm trying to go back into the trail.
I was just so mesmerized by your story because, they say a person's name is the sweetest sound to them. So I just was, enamored about how you spent that effort and time to memorize that. I'm sorry. I wish I could remember how that segment, we got to that segment.
It was, well, it will come to us.
Yes.
I'm sorry, my age, my memory and my age contribute. Sometimes I get into this deep thinking. I go, and then I lose myself. I hate when this happens, but
I do it too.
It
That's
does.
okay.
Yes.
Maybe let's kind of stay on this track of what you were talking about. You've talked about from cold brand to authentic friend. How do you build that deep, intimate relationship without losing that professional boundaries?
I don't know if people really want to have those professional boundaries. If I go to a car dealer or to a bar in Italy, bars are a meeting point that is important, unlike the typical Starbucks, or I go to a car mechanic, you're really forced to have this kind of formal relationships. I don't believe people like any of them. They don't like the relationships you're forced to have when you go into a bank, for example. They're kind of neutral, formal. Oh, we cannot go beyond this point. I can only do this. Oh, this is the rule. People would like to have friends everywhere, basically. That's how I feel in the bank, in the mechanic, at the dentist. The most hateful places you would, just because they are so not liked, you want to have friends there. You don't want to go to a dentist you're scared of that doesn't talk to you and has a mask all the time. You don't even know his face. Why? I want somebody who I can feel as empathy, whether it's a dentist or a car mechanic or the banker. So you ask me, wouldn't that being friend kind of break the professionalism needed to do that kind of work? I think it would help, to be honest. And so the book, though, doesn't focus completely on this, is about this. From going from wanting to be a brand, which from before the internet era became then, oh, now you got to build your personal brand was still all there, to no, don't be a brand, be a friend. Again, trust is the thing. You need to build trust with people, because if you don't have trust, they're not going to buy from you whatever you want to sell or whatever good knowledge you have or service you can provide. That's what make conversions. So do not sell conversions, SEO, sell how to build relationship, long-lasting ones. Again, it goes back to care and to build trust. So the answer to your question is no, I don't think people that being friend means being non-professional. I actually think that one can be friend, that can be very professional friend, if it is required in some way to be so by the type of work you do. And even outside of work, when you're a friend with somebody, you can be professional in the sense a true friend goes out of his way to help his friends, but also has very strong limits, respect to the other person, desire to make mistakes, to try again, to do things that maybe you shouldn't do. But if you are a professional friend in this sense, is also to respect that, because you yourself have had to make many mistakes to learn what now makes you possibly wiser than him. So being a friend is also accepting and welcoming the need to make mistakes from others, not to be perfect as you would want them to be.
And then what I'm thinking about here is, I think there's going to be a possibility, and maybe this is where people will struggle, is I'm going to become friendly with you, and then because now we're friends, I'm going to take advantage of that friendship, and I'm going to try and maybe get something for free, or maybe make you do a little something extra, or a discount or something. I think that's something I could see people being worried about, so they don't want to be too friendly because they're worried about maybe being taken advantage of or something along those lines.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you guys got to be okay with that. And there's just going to be a very small percentage of people, but the overarching thing in the totality of being that friendly professional relationship is fine, because there's going to be a very small people that are probably going to take advantage of you, but in the overall, that's fine.
As a matter of fact, it doesn't have, what you say is logic, but it doesn't happen to me. I mean,
sure.
I've not found myself frequently in this situation. There are some people who do not have The worst that has happened to me is that, some people take a little bit advantage of your time,
Sure.
whilst the ones I appreciate are very respectful. If you have a consulting session and the time has expired, they're very, they actually tell you, oh, we have only 5 minutes, I don't want to take other time. While others go like the time was infinite, and you feel kind of bad to tell them, hey, but the time is over. So that's the worst that has happened to me. That's not too bad. I can understand some people maybe never learn to be respectful as it would be appropriate to be, because each other's time is very precious. And being kind and educated in this respect, I think it's nice. It allows things to be more harmonious. But there's nothing interesting in what I'm saying. Back to you.
No, that's fine. No, I just wanted you to address that. I just feel like that's a fear people have of being taken advantage of. And I guess you learn that and then you don't talk to them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. So something interesting, I think, I don't hear many people talk about, but I really resonated with when you said this, is you put your phone in a bag. Can we talk about that? Was your phone becoming a problem? Or were you trying to avoid a problem? How did the phone get in the bag?
How did it first? Maybe I never asked myself, but what's the reason why? I said to you, I like to be very independent. I like to own my freedom, my decisions. So this thing, the moment you become detached from your old school family house where there was a phone attached to the wall and it started to become this thing that comes to you, this thing makes a sound, a ringing sound, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of decides itself when to make this ringing sound. And you can be flirting with the most beautiful actors in the world or flying an airplane or whatever. This thing rings when it decides to. The reality, I'm obviously being ironic, is somebody else has decided he wants to talk to you. But, I don't know how we have accustomed ourselves to this kind of uneducated way of things. Maybe because at first we must have become fascinated. You can talk to somebody who's far away. So how beautiful. You put this number in, or you call the operator and say, I want to talk to Tom, who's across the world in Australia. Oh, fantastic. But then when this is used every day by everybody and everybody decides to talk to Tyson now, what right do we have to come into his life and make an object in his pocket ring? Why do we default to think, oh, that's beautiful? Oh, so that you can be in touch. So I can tell you if your daughter just fell. I mean, I think we self-brainwashed ourselves into it all the way. I mean, we drank it like, I don't know. So being again the guy who asked, why? Who said that? I said, why should I have a thing that rings? I mean, also, there weren't girls ringing me all the time. The rings were from people, likely for anyone in business. They're sometimes from the bank, from the lawyer, from this, from that. I said, do these guys have the right to interrupt when they decide they want? No. Can they do differently? Of course. They can send me an SMS. They can tell me in a message, look, I need to talk to you about the trial. We're going to court next week. So when are you free tomorrow? I give them a time. And then at that time, they ring because I want to talk to them. So we are in agreement. Now is a time we want to do things together. So now, without making the story too long, I decided that this was too intrusive, that I didn't need it, I didn't want it, I didn't want to be distracted. I didn't have the kind of probably, and this was I lucky, while maybe I thought that I was out of luck, not to have such a rich social life whereby I wanted the telephone to ring or or nothing. There was no exciting reason. So since I also have many teaching engagements at the time, and in those classes, you can have something where the beginning of the cellular era, you didn't want to have that thing ringing or appearing. It was a bad sign. And so I started to putting it aside while I was teaching, and then kept it aside and discovered that that was kind of an evolutionary step. That kind was something that put me ahead of others, while others would for a long time, still to this day, not understand it. But I said, this is a extra stripe. This is like I went to war also in and so I proudly look. Here is the proof. I have a bag that comes with me, and in the bag there is the telephone. The telephone is always switched on silent, and is always, I know it doesn't see very well there, but it's always on airplane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just dead. So I am totally in control. I like that. When I say, okay, now I've done the work, all the tasks are finished, let me waste a little half an hour. Okay, airplane goes off. Now let's see what's happening. And I can do all those stupid things that my younger generation's friends do. Go, actually, I don't like it even anymore to do that, but could go on Instagram, could go, I don't have TikTok. I decided not to dive into the world, never installed. But in summa, I can do all those superficial waste of time type of things that you do here. Because outside of taking photographs and videos, I don't really care to have all this other stuff. Doesn't add much to my life. And so it has become something that I use with a lot of limitation. I don't know if you go on yours, what is your screen time? Where do you
yeah. I have an Android. I don't.
It doesn't say screen time?
It does have some version of that. I'm sure as little as I use my phone, it's still probably embarrassing. Let me see.
Yes, that's the point. That if I look at my daughter or my son, they have incredible screen times there, but I refuse to put all that time in that screen.
View activity details. So, can I see? Today was 55 minutes. Yesterday was probably a big day. It was 4 hours. On average, looks like I'm on my phone for about 4 hours.
That's pretty good.
But I mean, when I'm looking at this, audiobooks, podcasts, email, Instagram. So it depends what you use it for. I like you. Well, in my case, I noticed it was a problem, and I noticed it was stealing time from me, I guess, basically, is what I would say. And I was good before, turning off all the notifications because I just hate seeing it. And then at some point, I was just kind of like you, and I'm like, why do you get to interrupt me when you have something to tell me? I'm doing something. I don't care. Unless we have, like you said, a scheduled time to talk. I don't care. Nothing in this world could be happening that you need to call me. I don't care. I mean, even if it's one of my children fell and smacked his head and he's on his way to the hospital, I can't do nothing about it. I don't know what you expect me to do. So
exactly.
And I tell everybody, I tell my kids and my family, I'm like, when I go to bed, my phone is off. So at 2:00 in the morning, if you got yourself into a shitty situation, don't call me because I'm not going to help you because I think, my sleep is more important than my phone being on next to my head, So, and then, my kids know that my phone is always on silent unless I have a scheduled meeting with you to call. And then usually I might turn my ringer on, but I hate when I forget to turn it off, or I'll just have it kind of sort of where I can see it glow real quick because I'm expecting something. So I'm not really doing anything, but I can see it pop on because I'm expecting a call, right? Or my kids know I have the Google Home, and the Google Home will ring. And so my kids or my family's calling my Google Homes, then it's kind of more like an emergency. Like, hey, we're trying to get your attention. Please answer your phone. So, but same kind of situation. But so many people I notice are, I like to call it's like a modern, slave driver. It's completely in charge of your time. It's completely in charge of your attention, and you allow it. I don't understand. And then you're worried about you, and you wonder why. Oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to read a book. You do, because I bet you if you weren't on Instagram and TikTok for 18 hours a day, you'd have a lot of time to do a lot of things. You could get literally a second job, or maybe a first job, because you've spent too much time on TikTok. So, but and then I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? When you're doing this thing, so you don't have time to go and be persistent. You don't have time to fall in love with the thing. You're not having time to do your paradata. You don't have time to figure out your why. You're not thinking about who am I serving, because you're being served. You are the customer, and we willingly and freely give it up to all these companies without a second thought in most cases.
Yes. A resounding yes, all capital letters.
So you talked about martial arts earlier. I know you do Muay Thai, and I don't know if you still do or you've done Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's style. What lessons, philosophies, or whatever from martial arts world have you brought over to business and or writing? Is there parallels? Is there correlations?
Yeah. Basically, is a need for determination, perseverance, decision to act. And it's, in my experience, very effective in the sense that if I'm able to do things with my body that I don't particularly love to do out of the box, that may leave me with lots of good chemicals and make me feel extremely good afterwards, but that do not release those chemicals before you do it. Actually release chemicals that say, do I really have to do this? Builds a lot of willpower, determination, perseverance. And so besides the combat sports, which also are a fantastic training ground for you confronting difficulty, overcoming obstacles, even just doing a routine set of exercises in the morning before you write or do any serious work, which the mind is ready to do, wanting to do. You just can't wait to sit down at the computer and write, having the balls to not do that, which is easy because the mind is charged and your brain still running well. And you stop and do that set of exercises that maybe starts, I don't know, with say 50 push-ups as the first thing. It really requires you to, it requires me some effort that is zero movement of muscle, some effort that is, now I'm going to do this. And this is the same effort to go to the Muay Thai gym, because at the Muay Thai gym, they're not welcoming you with naked girls and disco music, and so they don't even say hello when you arrive. They hardly say hello, the Thai teachers, and you just run, and now stretch, and now punch, and now round 1, round 2, round 3. I mean, me at a certain point wish, oh God, how many minutes are still there before this is over? But then all of this builds, at least for me, I don't want to say people should do this, but for me, these combat arts, which I've been doing since I was a little kid, 6 years old, are a challenge that builds me as a person, as a better person, because they are hard. I've had times, see, I'm born as a fencer. Mm-hmm. I'm Italian, and we have a tremendous tradition of fencing. coming both from the aristocracy, and then it's developed into a world Olympic sport. And it has a lot of interesting things if you compare it to martial arts, to the point that Bruce Lee himself has drawn from fencing for Jeet Kune Do itself means the intercepting fist, which means that speed and ability to strike before being stricken or attacking is one of the key core principles of Jeet Kune Do. Has been very hard because for all the beauty of these sports that one can see on the surface, the training is very, 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 very hard. Only when I lived for a few years in San Francisco, that was the only time in my life, and I was part of the fencing team of the San Francisco State University. I had also a private trainer, Jack Nottingham, and this guy was kind of a survivor of the hippie revolution, psychedelics and everything, but he was a wise man. And in his house, he had a long living room. I would go there. We would sit down having tea and discuss things the same depth we are discussing today. And then he said, okay, let's take the weapons. And we go to the living room, and he's dressed like he's dressed at home, and he just puts his protection thing, his mask. I do the same, and we fight like it was life or death. And this is a most beautiful memory because I got to interpret the sport in a way that is friendly, trusted, but at the same time, all out. We're not here, hey, do, hey, do, No, we just, okay, we're big enough and old enough to know how to fight. Let's fight and let's learn something from it. That is, every once in a while we stop and we say, oh, but did you see how I killed you with that one? Yeah, but how did you do that? That was the best way to train, because even in the martial arts, most schools, most things are very traditional Japanese styles, the kata, the things, stand, down, down, down. And unless you do it for many years, it feels like stupid. You know, why I'm doing all these things? You don't see the context again. Because when you watch documentaries and films that explain where that set of moves come from and why it was originally done that way, then you start to appreciate more and more these things. But anyway, going back to the original question, hard things, especially with your body, not just with your mind, do help build a more solid structure. I'm not a bodybuilder and I don't like them, but I feel them with all my weaknesses, and I'm full of fears. Believe me, I'm a strong man in the sense that, you know, I keep challenging myself with things that are not super easy. I don't want to exaggerate, but things that, you know, out of the box I wouldn't do. Out of my bed when I wake up, it is not, I actually have to go to sleep thinking, well, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I want to do those 50 push-ups. Like, you know, guys, I'm gonna, something that will, that I hope in the morning will give me that energy, because it's actually never there. Every morning is, oh, do I need to do those 50 push-ups or 60 today? It takes a little bit, but then it's just a move, you know, go to the floor. Because when you're down to the floor and you start 1, 2, 3, 4, it just goes. So it's all in the mind. And I guess this training of go, now we go to the Muay Thai. It's the time. It doesn't matter, sunshine, rain, that we go because we know that when we go out from there or when we finish the exercises in the morning, we feel better. I don't know. I definitely feel better physically, mentally, and kind of I'm more confident. I'm more serene. I know I can be challenged more. That's all.
That's perfect. I think everybody should do hard things. Find your hard thing and do it. I have ice bath done in my garage, and every day for like 3 or 4 years, I stand there, probably for like, I'm kind of exaggerating, 5 minutes staring at it every day. Why am I staring at it? You know what I'm staring at? Because I don't want that 10, 30 seconds of discomfort. But every day I do it. And 10 seconds later, I'm like, why did I stand there? But same thing. I know I can do it, hard things. And then when you do hard things, I think, if you can, especially early in the morning, the rest of your day is easy. I did the hard. You're not going to kick my ass, especially doing some Muay Thai in the morning. And nobody can try and kick your face in the real world like that. Ain't nobody going to sit there and make you shiver as you're sitting in an ice bath. You're throwing some kettlebells around, whatever it is. I think we should all do hard things. And I think the way I see things is it's a lack of doing hard things is a lot of, I think, of the problems we see in the world.
Yes. Perfect. Yes.
So I've got a ton of links I want to share with everybody in the show notes. I'll put everything, Robin Good Substack, your T5 website's awesome, and a bunch of other things. The curation-based authority system, you gave me the incredible honor of checking it out before, I guess, as you're getting ready to release it. I learned a ton from it. And this is kind of why I started thinking more about curation. I'll link to all those things for everybody in the show notes. Is there anything else you want me to point people to?
You. I want to point people to you. You've been a very kind man to invite me here and give me all of this space. I'm really honored. It's like a beautiful girl took me out for a dinner tonight as a surprise. So I'm very happy.
Well, thank you. The honor is all mine. I love learning from you, and I enjoyed the conversation. As we start to wrap up here, what I like to do on a social community show is I like to have a weekly challenge. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to issue this week's challenge. It could be anything you want, whether it be something we talked about or something we didn't talk about. So I'd like to know, what would this week's challenge be?
But for who is to take the challenge?
The audience out there, for everybody in the audience. I want to challenge them with something from you. I want you to issue a challenge to them, whether it be go do hard things, whether it be,
Well, let's make it useful for them and for us, and without much effort, let's go with the entertainment, while that can be educational. So we'll not go for music, but I will go for movies. I rarely see them, but I like movies. So the challenge is you're going to be confined to an island for the rest of your life, a deserted island, unfortunately. And you can take with you only 5 movies, and they possibly should not be those that are already in the top 100, like The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, or whatever else, Star Wars. I don't know, whatever you like, 2001, Space Odyssey. I'm listing 2 old movies. It shows how not updated I am with... No, I do know some recent ones. But anyway, I would challenge each one so that we can all learn from each other and watch and spend some extra time without things interrupting us, that we can enjoy and even learn from or be inspired. And movies do that well when they're good. How many? 3, I think. Let's do a 3. That 3 is good number. The 3 movies you would take to that island, you can only see, those 3. And they should not be in the top 100 of movies we've heard too many times. So don't tell us you like one of those, because we like it too. We would like on that island to have some 3 very special movies and use the suggestions from this challenge to help us build a bigger libraries than just 3, because you are several ones, and I'd like to see the results of that, and I'm gonna take, in a positive sense, good advantage of it. Would you?
Yeah, this is interesting. We're gonna find probably esoteric movies and different things we would never probably ever come across. This is gonna be a fun challenge. Yeah, share it in the comments, and let's curate a list of maybe lesser known movies.
Okay, and you put the cherry on the pie. That is, whatever three movies you're gonna suggest, you gotta have at least a one-liner that say why you like that movie so much, so that I can have an hooked into, let's dive into this or into that, because those one-liners make all the difference. I may have heard the title, I may not have heard it, worst, but then if you give me a one-liner, that makes a lot of difference. For example, if I say In the Mood for Love, do you know what that movie is?
No.
Okay, see? So people are going to bring movies like that, which are great movies, but not very well known, rare to find, or, not Hollywood type of things. And so the one-liner is very important. And maybe you should give a stage to this contribution. They should actually build a useful resource if they have the one-liners, because without the one-liners, this list is worth nothing. Zero.
If you guys comment it, I'll build the resource and we'll put it there and we'll link it and we'll keep it. I'll keep it alive every time a submission comes in. If you guys do it.
Well, if they love you, they will do it. I will contribute.
Yeah, I'm interested in to see what's out there. I'm trying to think of the movies I like. I almost will never watch a movie twice. I will almost never watch a show twice. I don't like it. I've already seen it. So there's very, very few movies that I've seen more than twice. So I'm interested in, I don't know if my movies are in the top 100. They could be, but I'm interested to see what else is out there because I don't like watching something again.
Okay, I've got 3 ones for you, sure. I don't know if you like them, but definitely I have. And I am completely opposite of you. I can watch a movie and then maybe after 5 years, watch it again. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next scene. Just like I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I think it's not a handicap or a disease. I more and more think that it's kind of not gift but something good, because I appreciate, even I'm a soccer fan. I totally forget who scored maybe two matches ago. And if I watch the match, it's like watching it again for the first time, because I get so immersed in the story. And then the peculiar thing, because I don't remember it, I believe it's that I don't go back to it. Like many people in their lives, they keep going back to the things that have just happened, to the person they've just met, to the scolding of their manager at the office. They keep on going back. They rethink and ruminate. I am peculiar in the sense that I know I never watch back what has happened, especially if it's a bad thing. I always look forward and I never think, oh, I was beautiful, we met, very rarely. So memories are there, but they're somewhere deep imprinted in a way that it's not linear like for the others who have rewinded the tape many times and looked at it. That's why I don't remember. I have the experience inside of me, but I don't have the story lined up as normally people do. So that's why when I watch things after sometimes it's like a new experience, and I actually appreciate it. I don't feel like, oh, I don't have any memory. Yeah, for many years I asked myself, how is that the case? But I discovered I'm not alone. There are maybe not many, but there are other people like this. They seem to be fine people. I like them. So I guess I can live with this and take advantage of it. What do you think?
That's interesting. I typically, if I go to bed, I wake up like fresh, restart boot. I don't care what happened. I don't think about it. And I definitely don't ruminate. I'm sure there's a couple things here and there I do ruminate on, but for the most part, my mom mostly says, she's like, you've got a really good skill of just like tuning everything out and just kind of like forgetting stuff. I don't know if she means it in a good way or a bad way. I guess depends on the day, but I have a good way of just like flushing stuff right out of my brain. Sometimes it's to my detriment. Like I'm like, I probably should have remembered who you are or what that was. But if it's not interesting to me, I kind of just don't care and I just forget it in kind of an instant almost. But when I rewatch a movie or a TV show, for some reason I'm like, I saw this already. I don't like it. But my son, he challenges me. He's like, why won't you rewatch a movie or a show, but you continuously reread the same books? And I'm like, oh, I was like, that's interesting. And I'm like, well, because every time I read the book, it's something different. There's a different point in my life, or, you're reading a book or you're listening to a book and you kind of hear something, you kind of drift off on that thought and then you come back but when you listen to the book the second time, well, you're not drifting off of that same part anymore. So I learned something new, right? So that's kind of why I like to go back to books. But for whatever reason with movies and stuff, they feel too familiar. And even if I don't remember them, I just don't care to do it again.
So, but after you watch a movie, are you aware whether you picture it in your head or run through the story at the end of it to summarize it, or ask yourself whether you like it, like people do when they come out of a movie theater? Do you do that or no?
I'd say more often than not when I leave the movie theater, I forgot the whole movie. I don't care.
But you say that then when you watch it, you remember it perfectly.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand it. It's like I could almost not tell you what the movie was about as we walked out of the theater because it's over with. It's like, it's strange. Like I don't know how I developed this, but I can just like dump the memory like almost instantly. It's very strange. And like I said, it's come back to haunt me a couple of times. But yeah, I don't know. If we left the theater as we're walking out, we could probably chat. I liked it. What'd you like about it? Yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. Or I didn't like it. It's very strange. I don't know. But I'm not distracted. I'm watching the movie. I like to talk sometimes during a movie, like, quietly, with whoever I'm with or whatever. Like, oh, wow. Maybe I spent too much time. That doesn't make sense. You couldn't do that. His uniform's on wrong. I don't know what it is. Something about it. I don't know. But I like watching a movie. I like watching a show, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you much about it.
Good. Okay. We're also different.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yes.
And so the last question I want to ask you, Robin, and this doesn't have to be a grandiose thing. It can be whatever you want it to be. But the question is, what is your definition of becoming legendary? What does that mean to you? And what does it mean to live a legendary life?
Living a legendary life means, it's not something that I've challenged myself with. You're the first one. I don't typically use this verb, but I noticed recently, maybe it was you that commented back on something I wrote that says, "Oh, you legend." It felt good. So just to say that I'm buying time for the answer to come up. Legendary for me is to leave something behind, to leave something, a mark, some kind of mark behind. But to be legendary means more, and that would be is legendary. That is, what is it when you say Robin is legendary? Is broken grounds, is gone into places that I wouldn't have gone, is realize things that I would thought were only dreams. So those are legendary people. They don't have to be famous, but they kind of break into grounds or go beyond typical borders we put there for us to behave. And that's what to me would mean to be legendary, to do those things and to leave some kind of physical, but could be even just intangible, inspirational memory, something so good or so special that moves others. So, Robin, could you give us an example of somebody legendary for you? Well, case in point could be Bruce Lee, but that's very popular. That's easy, Robin. Yes, many people could say that he's a legendary being because of the things he's done beyond the public entertainment movies. The legendary part is not that one. The legendary part of Bruce Lee is the philosophical understanding of the body, of the combat arts, of the passion and depth with which he curated that understanding, because we cannot leave this out. Bruce Lee was basically a curator of combat arts. He studied all the different combat arts to not find a perfect mix, but to reveal that each one can draw from all the combat arts to find his own custom perfect mix. Because I'm small and fast, you're big and heavy, can be the same moves that work for me, work also for you. So in that way, he was a curator as well. So for somebody less famous as Bruce Lee, let's see, Robin, if in 10 seconds you can bring up another legendary example. Well, I guess they're all famous. They're all those mentors that I have had in my life. So I don't know if I'm going to do a disservice to me in mentioning them, but yeah, they're all famous. Legendary that is not famous, well, I could name them, but it wouldn't mean anything to Tyson now or to the listeners if I say Andrea Zampa or Massimo Fusi, which are friends I've had in my life that I would consider somewhat legendary for what they've done. So then, Robin, you're right. If those ones we don't know, tell us 3 more besides Bruce Lee. Well, I've been very influenced by Timothy Leary for all the negative things have been said about him. He pushed me to think beyond the convention when I was junior, sophomore. So in the perfect age to rewire your brain, as he would have said, and look beyond life on the planet and, go beyond the stupid stories about marijuana or LSD. His message was way beyond that, into looking at the possibility of evolving ourselves beyond the gossipy level we're always in. So it has a lot to do with what we discussed today. Then I was influenced very much by, obviously, Carlos Castaneda and the teachings of Don Juan, that is all the esoteric stuff connected to having a symbiosis with nature and with medicinal plants to explore ourselves deeper. And as a third one, I would bring Alan Watts, synergy of East and West, philosophy and psychology. A man whose voice, when I listen, brings to me good sensations. There would be many more I should list, but these are the ones that when I was around my 20s, really struck a lot of chords. So those are legendary men for me.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a good list. Well, Robin, I got a page full of notes. Thank you so much for your information. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and everything. It's been a pleasure. And I hope the listeners had a great time with us too.
I hope so. I really hope so. Thank you, Tyson. It's been a pleasure. A unique gift from you. Thank you very much. Keep on reading you, because I see that you're not looking at the surface of things. You're asking a lot of questions, and we need more people like you.
Well, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. What a great interview with Robin Good. I had a great time. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys found some food for thought. Teradata, I'm gonna look into more of that. I'm gonna develop more of that. And I want to develop more about me. I really I like that. And then a final thing that really is stuck with me after that episode: who are you serving and why is it relevant? I think we all should take some time to answer those questions. And maybe finding somebody to answer that question with you by sharing this episode with your friends. As always, there's no paywall, there's no premium content to subscribe to, there's no Tyson and Robin Plus premium package. You got to go. Everything we give to you right up front. Only things we ask is you share with at least 2 other people if you found value from this episode. As always, you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and your favorite podcast player. For past episodes and links to everything we've discussed here today, you can head over to the socialchameleon.show. And don't forget to subscribe, not just on our podcast, our Substack, Robin's as well. You're going to get show notes, legendary life quotes, monthly rewinds, and stuff like this delivered directly to your inbox. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and transform on your path to becoming legendary.